So I've had a few requests to share how I do my smoothie cubes, my green smoothie cubes. So I just happened to be doing them today, so I figured I would just show you guys through a little video. So let's just get started. It's really easy. All I do is I fill my little pot pan thing here with like an inch of water. If you can see, there's water in there. Not even an inch. And then I've got all my kale washed and rinsed and ready to go. And so all I will be doing is taking some and shredding it and putting it into the pot. So I'll put you down so maybe you can see this. Sorry if you can't. So I just take off the top part like this and I just literally throw it all in. And then leave the stem if you're doing kale. And then I do them all like that. So when that's done, you just turn the stove on to max and you have all your kale into chunks, and you just throw a lid on that and then let that steam until it's just lightly wilted and it just turns a little bit of a darker color. Okay, so it just came to a boil, and as you can see, it is nice and wilted and it turned a darker shade of green. And so you just want it a little bit wilted just to give it a quick steam. And then I'm going to pop it in my blender here. Okay, it's all in the it's all in the blender. Now I'm just adding coconut oil for my healthy fat, because it's important to eat your greens with a healthy fat. Now in my smoothies I also add an avocado, but this ensures proper digestion and whatnot, and absorption of the nutrients in through your vegetables, through your steamed veggies. It just helps you absorb everything properly. And so I don't know, I just usually put like 2 big tablespoons of coconut oil in there. I'm just finishing off this jar. And if you're new to coconut oil, don't get the refined kind. Don't get the virgin stuff, because it tastes really coconutty, and this doesn't taste like coconut at all. So, which can really, if it tastes like coconut, it can really throw off what you're cooking. So I also just take a little bit of water, throw that in, just a little bit, enough to blend it. And then I will pop my lid on here and I will blend this up. And the reason I steam my greens, it's really important to steam your greens. Raw greens and stuff, they are not very well absorbed and they're not very well digested, and they can give you things like kidney stones and stuff. I can throw the link that always pops to the top of my head is by a Healthy Home Economist, and she does a really good job explaining why, so I will pop that somewhere in this post where you can see it. My in-laws have birds, sorry. But I'll pop that in the post, and then you can read for yourself why. It's really important to steam your greens and to also rotate them, and not eat too many all the time. Greens is not the most important thing. Eat lots of variety of vegetables, but you really don't need to make them all green. So I'm just going to blend this up, and then we'll put it in cubes, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so now I have my just green kale and coconut oil goop, and I have my ice cube trays here. And this is just how I freeze them, and I hope you will be able to see this. Kind of just putting you down against random things in my house. So I take a spoon, and I do this by spoon because I find it a little bit easier and a little bit less messy. However, I always make a mess. So you just go and you fill each one. And each one of these cubes is gonna be like a good sized handful of kale. So usually per smoothie I only put it like 2 in when I'm like wanting to get my greens in. 3 if I feel like I really need some extra nutrients. And 1 if I'm just topping myself up, because these, I know they look small, but if you think about the amount of kale that went into here and how big it was, like how much kale was in my pan before I steamed it, there's a lot of kale. So you kind of measure by how much you would have when it's raw and kind of go from there. And so I estimate each cube to be about a good handful. So thank you, baby. So about 2 cubes is like a really ginormous handful. And see, now I'm just making a big mess because I'm not paying attention. Talking to you guys, jeez. Okay, so now these are filled and these guys are ready to go right into the freezer. And once they are frozen, I leave them in there for a couple to a few hours. I don't know, whenever I remember about them next. It's just usually when I check on them. So that was 1 bunch of kale, by the way, that made all these smoothie cubes. So once they're frozen, you pop them out and you put them into a baggie or a container, whichever you want. And you have a bunch of little cubes, and you pop 1 or 2 in your smoothie with whatever else you want, and you blend away and just keep them in here and label the vegetable that's on there. And or if you, I don't usually have to label because when you rotate your greens. Anyway, I usually only have 1 in my freezer at a time. So, word of advice though, is to get that blender and everything that touched the green rinsed out with hot water right away, because nothing sticks worse than blended greens or green smoothies. So be careful and rinse it, and don't get any on your clothes, because if you can figure out how to get it out of laundry better than I can, let me know, because I'm still trying to figure that one out. So I hope that was helpful for anybody who wondered how I did it, and yeah, enjoy your smoothies.